Hi there. So in this video I'm going to talk about hooking up QGIS to ArcGIS OnLine. A lot of the things in this do still relate to Portal, but there are few differences when you do the security part of it, and I'll probably make another video on that. But this is really specifically about ArcGIS OnLine itself. So what I've got here is QGIS. What actually is this? I can't remember. Oh yeah, Grenoble. So 3383, but this definitely works on much older versions. So I've been working like this with ArcGIS OnLine for quite a long time. So I just thought I'd make make a video just to clarify how I connect to ArcGIS OnLine, particularly when there's security credentials involved. Firstly, I'll just show you the kind of straightforward, simple way, but that's only because if you look at this sample pubs dataset, you can see how this is set for public data collection. So if we look at settings, you can see that yes, it's enabled for editing, which I could turn off, but I'm going to turn on just for the purposes of this demo, so you can see that you can edit, and I've got this approved for public editing. And also, if I go back to overview, if I click on share, you can see it's shared publicly. Okay, so this is completely open data. So that's quite easy, because all you have to do is get the URL. So copy the URL, which will look like that. Go to your QGIS, go to add, the data source manager, sorry, ArcGIS REST server down here. Make a new one, paste in the URL, give it a name, sample pubs from AGOL. Now, because it's public and it's all open, don't need any of this security stuff. So I'm going to press OK and then connect. And there it is. Main. It's called main.sam because I loaded that from a GIA package. So I'm going to add. Let's just close that, and there's all my red dots. So if I just get the info, I can select that one, and there you go. And that's direct from the ArcGIS OnLine. So if I told you it was editable, so let's go to this. Let's go to data. So that's what my data looks like at the moment. Let's just drag that off screen. Let's go to open the attribute table. There's Baker's Arms at the top. Let's check. Oh, sorry. Let's set toggle editing. Yep. And then in the attribute table, I can do this. Baker's Arms 2. And then I can save my edits. Click on the save with the little pencil. Let's go back to this and just flick from fields to table. And there's Baker's Arms 2. See, all changed. And it'll work vice versa as well, of course. I'll change that back to Baker's Arms. Go back to here. Open up this again. And it's back to Baker's Arms. So there you go. Pretty straightforward, really. You're copying, pasting URL, making your connection. Okay, but not all your data is public, is it? So we're going to get into a little bit of a more technical area. I'm not going to explain every single step because it deals with OAUTH2 authentication. And there's plenty of YouTube videos on there and documents, so look it up. But what we're going to do here is do a sort of bit of kind of handshaking, really. You know, someone rings a doorbell and you're going to go sort of, who's there? And they're going to go, it's me. And you're going to go, well, match up your password with mine, your client's secret with mine, and if it matches, then let you in. So it's a sort of, that's a very rough, high-level view, but that's kind of what's going to happen here. So I'm going to get rid of this. There's remove. There it is. Go back to my data source manager and actually remove that as well. Okay. Actually, no, I won't remove it. What I'll do is I'll leave that there, that connection, and show you what happens actually when I then engage security. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to share it anymore. So I'm going to go to share, and I'm going to make it owner only. Yep, save. So there's no way, yep, that this is going to let me in, he says. So because the public data connection, yeah, when with the public, when editors, yeah. So with that public data connection, actually, when I did it on the raw feature service, and it's quite good advice to make a read-only view layer for non-editing purposes. But again, that's another video really. So let's go back to this. Let's go to Data Source Manager, connect, and look, connection failed, 499, token required. Okay, so that's your, because that's what we're going to be dealing with here is tokens. That's how the ArcGIS Online funding portal is dealing with security. You sort of get a token that runs out. It's just one big long number, and it runs out, expires after a certain amount of time, and that's part of the security framework. So it's quite clearly not working there. So I'm going to remove it now, the connection, because I want to sort of create one from scratch. Okay, so what do you do? So back in ArcGIS Online, what you need to do is register an application. An application or a client that's going to gain access to ArcGIS Online, and you're going to give it permission to do so. Now that's a new item. So go to Content, click on New Item, and what we're going to do is create an application. So it says quite clearly link to an application on the web or create a new application. So we're going to link to an application. Now there's a couple that you could leave it to other, you could leave it to mobile, you could leave it to web mapping, doesn't really matter there. And actually even the URL is not that important, so I'm just going to call it my one, and then do next. It's literally, it's not really used actually, that that URL in this scenario, but the title is, so we're going to call this QGIS desktop. Okay, actually I'm going to call it Doug's QGIS desktop. Folder, yeah, I don't care where it goes at the moment. You should put it somewhere. You should add a tag. Do what you want with the rest of the metadata. I'm not going to mess about with that. So what does it do? You can see that it's created this item, which is very different to your normal items in terms of what it actually does. Like I said, it's a link. It's a link to an application. Well, how do you create the link? Well, you go to the settings, and here you'll see a few options. So the first thing to do, register application. There's different things, but based on the kind of application you want to link to, you will have different parameters that you're going to need or use, and some will just become irrelevant parameters because you're not using them. I'm just connecting QGIS, and there's not much else really. There's no code or anything like that. So as such, so I'm not, I'm not attaching any code. It's just as is. So I'm going to register this. That's all I'm going to do. Now, the what we're saying here with the registration is you have to appreciate that your QGIS client, which is on your machine, is going to send requests to ArcGIS Online and say, I want a token. Please give me a token because I want to talk to a particular feature service, i.e. log in as me to ArcGIS Online. And so there's some port that QGIS is going to use to send through that information. So again, I'm not going to talk about the ports and redirection and stuff. Look it up yourself, but this is what it just needs to get cracking. And of course you're coming from localhost anyway. That's the name of your client environment, is localhost, basically your server name. So that's why you're doing it. And then the actual localhost as well is 127.0.0.1, which is still which is your usual. You may recognize that again, that's your machine, but it's going to come from 7070. That's the port that's used here. So you have to appreciate the fact there's going to be some network topology here, network communications. Now, I'm doing this on my own PC that I control. If you're doing this behind a corporate network, so you're at the office and they've got, I don't know, Zscaler, some kind of firewall stuff going on, proxy server, you may need to set up some rule here to let you through from this call from 7070. But again, that's something you'll soon find out because you won't connect to ArcGIS Online. So, but this will work straight from your own PC. Or, I mean, unless you got some really overzealous, Bitdefender firewall going or something. But it should be fine because it's a pretty safe port. And then I think that is that. Don't care what that is. I mean, it's just going to kick off something. It's actually going to kick off the browser, but it doesn't matter. And then just register that. And then I need to, okay, so I've done that bit. And then the final key bit here. So that there is a lot to this. I'm just trying to not completely flood you with all the bits and pieces because you can investigate further if you want. But OAuth2, which is the sort of protocol we're following here to get the token and stuff, comes from it comes with a client ID and a client secret, and that's your kind of what you're sharing, you're handshaking over. So what you've got to do here is in Notepad is just copy your client ID. See, it's got the copy to clipboard anyway, and the client secret. Okay, you can see what the secret is there. Look, it's going to regenerate it. Actually, I mean, I'll be deleting this anyway, so it'll be invalid straight after I recorded this video. But you can see it's a long number, and you can see the token here as well. And you can see I recorded this on Friday the 31st, and it's actually going to expire in 2 hours, so it's got a two hour span there. As a temporary token just generated, not going to use it right now. QGIS will ask for its own. So there you go, that's all sorted, I think. Actually, that URL probably for neatness sake could make that to qgis.org, but it's up to you. So I think we're all good to go on that. Let's go to overview. Yeah, so so you can see up there, you see OAuth2 credentials. So you can again look that up for more info if you need, and there's a nice link there actually in the Esri which go deeper into it. Okay, so we've set up the ArcGIS Online bit. All right, let's go to QGIS. Don't forget I've copied to clipboard my client secret and ID. And then we go to settings and options and authentication. Okay, so we're going to install a bit of authentication here, an authentication sort of link, an authenticated link, which we're going to use in the data source manager. So click on add. What's the name? So this is I'm going to call this QGIS. Actually, let's call it AGOL access. Yeah. Now ID. Click on the padlock to do it. Now that's kind of going to give that's going to be your kind of unique reference to this that you'll select when you're doing authenticating. So you'll see what I mean by this shortly. But I'm going to call it QGIS 001, something like that. I think it can only support 7 characters. Yeah, it's only 7 characters. You see that it goes red as soon as I put another one on, and it's red when there's not enough. So it has to be exactly 7. Not sure why actually. Anyway, maybe someone can put in comments what that is. Just a restriction. With me, you see, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to identify this as this sort of client as QGIS 001 because I might have another QGIS on another PC, or I'm in a group of people that users, and they could be 002, 003, or what have you. Okay, so what else am I doing? Well, it's OAuth2 authentication. Okay, we know that because we need to match it with what's happening here. So you can see here it says OAuth2. So we've got to use the same protocol, same framework. So we'll change that to OAuth2, and then you get all the details where you'd expect. We're going to enter the information. Now, we're doing this once, and then we can hit AGOL to our heart's content, because it's going to request tokens when it needs to, which is great. So there is, like I said, right at the beginning, is a bit more to, it's a bit more technical. But once you're done and you got it all in, it's fine. Off you'll go with secure access of ArcGIS Online feature services, items, content from QGIS, your favorite desktop GIS application. Okay, so OAuth2 uses tokens. So what you need, we could put a description in there, I should do really, but anyway, knock yourself out with metadata. Request URL. Okay, so that's the URL you need for making requests for authorization to ArcGIS Online. But you also need an endpoint to get the token. Okay, so that's the second one. It's those two bits that kind of work the magic, really. So you authorize, yes, I'm good, here's a token to use for the 2 hours or whatever. So port 77, 7070, sorry, which is fine, it matches. And then we have our, we copy to clipboard our ID and secret. So this is the bit that's going to match up. You say, this is the magic for security. Okay, that's all that. So with those match up with in here, yep. And then we've done that, and then the only other thing we need to do is a header. It's got its own sort of keyword, or keywords, I should say, called X-Esri-Authorization. So that needs to be in the header when you make the request. So do make sure you've put that in. If you don't, it will fail. So there we go. There's nothing else really, and that was on the advanced bit. There's nothing else really. I don't think I need. No, nothing else. We need to do. I think we can. Oh yeah, you could import. You could export this config. And then send it to someone else for importing, which is quite handy. So let's do save. Okay, and then do okay. Right, that's the hard bit. And now we can just get onto the easy bits. That's actually saved with this project, so I'm just going to press save up there. So it's saved with the project. And now we're going to go back to Data Source Manager. Now don't forget, if you back in ArcGIS Online, that content is sample pubs is only shared with the owner. Okay, it is not shared with anyone else, so I've got to log in. So we say ArcGIS REST server, a new one, and the sample pubs, let me just copy and paste that. So that's the URL again, the same as before. Name, sample pubs, this time with security. Okay, and down here, change authentication, it's easy for you to say, to AGOL access, which is what I created in authentication. So I click on that, press OK. And if I did everything right, so I've clicked on that connect, and over here you'll see a browser's opened, request for permission. So it's hit the end, the authorization endpoint in ArcGIS Online, and look, it's identified, look, the QGIS desktop wants to access your ArcGIS Online account information. Is this accepted? Now, so you have to sort of go through that, and indeed if you're not logged in, you'll get the login box from Esri. Okay, so it'll prompt you to log in. So I'll say allow, and it says, okay, that's all done. You can close the window and just put that to one side. And now look, we've got it. We can add it, close, and sure enough, there is the data. So that's been accessed through a secure connection. So that's my pubs data. So it's all there, I can edit it, and it's a sort of token session. I've got a token from ArcGIS OnLine, and that is how you connect to a with credentials to ArcGIS OnLine. So the main things to remember. Firstly, you need to create the application, to register the application. So that's this bit. So you need this OAuth2 application. And then once you've done that, you need to set up the link to that application link in ArcGIS OnLine, that connection from QGIS, which is settings and options, and then authentication. Add a new some new details, put them all in there. These are the key bits you need. That client ID, client secret, and of course that X-Esri-Authorization header entry as well. And then once you've done all that, that's fine. You're going. And like I said, when you save it, it's saved to the project, and so it's all fine. But you can export that authentication config for someone else if they need to. But that's a great way to make sure security is honoured when accessing the ArcGIS OnLine platform, and I hope you found that useful. Thank you.